Hey, storm Area 51 and legalize ranch. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite albums. And today I'm gonna be doing a mini albums review where I talk about albums. Yay! So I'm gonna try my best to speak as properly as possible, but I can't move my mouth much. So yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna be focusing on albums released in 2019 on this video. I'm gonna talk about 7 albums, 7 projects. Actually, I've listened to quite a few albums from the year as well that I didn't really have the time to talk about because they're just okay. They have the potential to be good, but they just feel kind of lackluster. Like that Fire Orchestra album, Arrival, Big Thief with UFOF, also the latest Mountain Goats album. But I'm gonna start off by talking about Denzel Curry with Zoo. So Florida man Denzel Curry, he's back. He's a rapper, hardcore trap rap music. He's talented. He dropped Taboo, which is a great album, and now this, which is a really short project of about 29 minutes long. And unlike Taboo, it doesn't really have a grand concept or anything. It's just a collection of tracks that Denzel Curry made. So we have the title track, which is a really nice opening to the album. It has some really cold-blooded and futuristic instrumentals, which I love, and the hook is absolutely catchy, and the beat hits absolutely hard. And then we have the second track, Ricky, which is a total trap banger that I didn't enjoy that much at first, but now I just absolutely love the track. The beat is totally banger. The usage of pitched vocals are incredibly creative, and again, Denzel Curry provides some really dynamic flows on the track. And I like the lyrical contents of the track as well, talking about listening to your family's advices, like, my father said, trust no one but your brothers. It's really catchy, really fun, and really tight. And then up next we have the track Wish, which is an incredibly groovy, summery 90s throwback rap song with some glistening clicks. The clicking sound effect is on the track as well. The bass line is really sunny, really blissful, and overall it's a really flashy and catchy track that I absolutely love. And then we have the third track, Birdz, which is, it sounds a little repetitive and redundant sometimes, but still I really like the very hard hitting and distorted beat, and the industrial synths are also pretty amazing on this track. For the next track, Automatic, it's pretty average. Basic flow, basic trap beat, but still, Denzel Curry comes up with a pretty compelling performance, pretty solid performance. And then we have the track Speedboat, which has some normal, regular, average trap pianos. However, the gospel-inspired vocals and the half singing, half rapping on this song are actually pretty spectacular. So I actually like this track quite a bit as well. Then we have the Bushy B interlude, which is this noisy blend of trap rap and pop, and it's just a very awkward and brief interlude. And the next track is also an interlude, and I don't know why 2 interludes would be put together back to back. But we have the track Carol Mart, which is also just an okay average trap rap song. However, the last couple of songs on this album are also really solid. We have the track Shake 88, which is an incredibly noisy industrial rap banger, and the pitched vocals part are always super fun, bouncy, and kind of funny actually. Here's a little something about a bitch like me. Rule number 1, don't touch my weed. Yeah, an absolutely fun banger. And then up next we have an interlude, and then at the end we have P.A.T, and it is another really hard-hitting, high-energy trap rap banger. The screams are intense, the feature is insane, and overall it's a really solid trap rap album with a lot of amazing flows and banger beats, and I kind of enjoy it. 7 to an 8 out of 10 for the album. Favorite track here, Ricky. Least favorite, Bushy B Interlude. And then up next, I'm going to talk about Baroness with the new album Golden Grey. Yay. Originally, I wanted to do a full-length review for the new Baroness album because Purple was just so damn good. However, Golden Grey, not so good. Yeah, of course, the biggest problem of the album, the production. It sounds really, really bad. The mixing is really, really bad. The constantly slamming drums, the very muddy guitars, the vocals compressed, all buried into one block of noise, and it's just really awful. There's no clarity to it. And the songwriting, they are pretty lackluster as well. They are not as epic or as satisfying as the tracks on Purple, in my opinion. It just doesn't quite have the oomph that I have really wanted from Baroness. I guess with the exception of the album opener, Front Towards Enemy, which isn't like a fantastic song or anything. Nothing like Shock Me or Try to Disappear, but it's still a pretty triumphant, epic metal banger with some really epic intergalactic guitar riffs, even though the production still kind of sucks. Same goes for the next track, I'm Already Gone, which has this really weird grunge rock opening. The contents of the track, they're pretty tuneful, but pretty tame as well. You know, not that great. The track Seasons actually sound pretty good. Even though it does sound messy, the instrumentals are downtrodden, the vocals are sad, and the little guitar solo is pretty nice. It would be even nicer if the production is nicer, of course. Then we have interludes that are just totally unnecessary. On Purple, we have one interlude, actually two, but I don't count the last track as the interlude, so I guess one. And that interlude is such a great intermission. While on this album, we have like 4 interludes and they don't do anything. We have this Sevens interlude, it's basically some pianos, and it leads up to Tourniquet, or Tourniquet, which is actually a really beautiful, angelic, summery, nostalgic ballad that's really sweet and airy. And then we have another interlude leading to Throw Me an Anchor, and Baroness is just trying too hard to sound epic and triumphant, and it sounds like a Bruce Springsteen-esque anthem that just doesn't really lead up to any climax whatsoever. It's like the entire song is already the climax. We have I'd Do Anything, which is basically another spacey, uneventful ballad. And then we have an interlude, and then we have the phone ringing, and then we have Emmet Radiating Light, and it's another low-key ballad. Why are there so many ballads on this album? And the vocals are just really whispery and hush, and it would have been better if the production is better again, but still, it's a really uneventful song. There's not much to like about the song either, not like it's some beautiful ballad or anything. The track Cold-Blooded Angels, however, is a pretty beautiful ballad. Actually, at first it sounds like a ballad with the very dreary vocals, and then later it escalates into a very powerful and triumphant pop metal song that's pretty catchy. And then after that we get some melting guitars for an interlude for some weird reason. And then we have Broken Halo, which is similar to Throw Me an Anchor. It tries to sound triumphant, but instead it just sounds like if Weezer tries to make sludge metal or pop metal. And then we have the track Can Obscura, and it's another interlude, basically a 2-minute long rager. The track Borderlines is another really loud pop metal anthem, which at first does sound like it's gonna be, whoa, what the hell? At first it sounds like it's gonna be something interesting. However, the ending, the roaring guitars just turn into a wall of noise. And then we have another interlude, and then the ending is Pale Sun, which is basically a heavy psych rock closer that doesn't really feel all that conclusive. So yeah, overall, I don't hate the album. I don't think there is anything that terrible about the album other than the production. And there are actually a few good songs here and there. But yeah, 6 out of 10. And my favorite track is Front Towards Enemy, and my least favorite is friggin' I don't know, the melting guitars, Crooked Mile. Up next, also a metal album, I would like to talk about the new Waste of Space Orchestra album, Syntheosis. It's been like 3 months, but I'm gonna talk about it because I'm such a cool dude. So Waste of Space Orchestra is actually a giant metal band from Finland, with bands like Oranssi Pazuzu involved, which is an album that I've heard like a long time ago but didn't talk about it at all because I'm waiting to do the 2016 list week. Anyway, this album is a black metal album, yes, a doom metal album as well, yes, but very atmospheric, really drony, really long-winded, and it sounds really like Swans the Seer. Yeah, so the album starts off with Void Monolith, which is actually a pretty stunning beginning for the album. Yeah, it's very spacey, it's very distorted, it's very atmospheric and absolutely dramatic and cinematic as well. It sounds like the opening to some old school sci-fi horror movie. And I just absolutely love how it builds up to the second track, the Shamanic Vision, which is actually a really nice track with some really primal drum beats that are constantly rumbling in the back, some really terrifying and unsettling guitar riffs, and overall the song is just so spacey and grandiose, and I like it a lot. The vocals, the growls, while they're not bad, I'm not a fan of the nasal growls. They sound like a baby zombie. But yeah, the third track is The Seeker's Reflection, and I guess it's a bit of a downgrade from the second track. The guitar riffs are actually okay. However, again, the growls, they're not all that great. And the drums, they're kind of lackluster. And overall, the song is just kind of average. And then we have the track Journey to the Center of Mass, which is a 10-minute long atmospheric, drony, ambient metal track. That has a really weird, drooly, dizzying, spooky, twangy, atmospheric psych rock beginning, which I actually find pretty interesting sonically, and I love how the song just progresses into these twisty sound effects. However, the ending where the song just fizzes out isn't really all that great. The next track is Wake Up the Possessor, and the intro is basically a Halloween spooky song. But it's actually not that bad. And then it has some really nice, tight guitar riffs and some really gratifying, growly vocals that are not just so nasal, and actually something that's solid and deep. And then we have another track that feels totally unnecessary. We have Infinite Gate Opening, which actually sounds really interesting, but nothing beyond that. It has some weird drums in the back, while there are these chants that feel really religious and occultist. And while they sound cool, if they have a better build-up, and if they're not 6 minutes long, yeah. The next track is Vacuum Head, and boy, it's a pretty fantastic track. I must say. It's incredibly crushing, incredibly aggressive. I really love the screaming synths, the layered screams, the very tight instrumentals that isn't just organic sounds, but incorporating with some bleeps and bloops a little bit. And overall, the track is just a really tight, thrilling, aggressive, atmospheric black metal ride that is pretty fantastic. But then again, it all leads up to another unnecessary track. We have the Universal I, which is essentially a very bland ambient drone interlude, which then leads up to Syntheosis, the title track, which is a 13-minute long epic. The first half feels kind of dragged and kind of average. Not much really happens on the first half, but the second half feels a little dronier and a little brighter with the instrumentals, that with more flavor. And so yeah, the second half of Syntheosis sounds pretty nice, even though it doesn't sound all that groundbreaking. So yeah, overall, while I do not enjoy every single minute of the album, I still find this album sonically interesting, really solid, and with some really crispy, clear, fine, atmospheric black metal production. And I'm giving this album an 8 out of 10. My favorite track here is Vacuum Head, and my least favorite is the Universal I. And then let's talk about the fourth album. It's Fontaines DC with Dogrel. Yes, it's been like 4 months. I've finally decided to listen to this album and review it. So Fontaines DC is a new post-punk band in Ireland, and they have been dropping some really solid singles, like Big, which is the first track off of Dogrel. And it, even though it's just 1 minute and 45 seconds long, it's solid, it's tightly packed, and it's really fun. The guitars are really tasteful, the drums are nice and compelling, and the vocal performance, while they're not really wild and eccentric and crazy, the fast talking, the rhymes, the flow, they just come together to make a really pleasant post-punk track that's really flavorful. And then we have the track Sha Sha Sha, which has some bouncy drums, which I love, but other than that, it feels like a really basic post-punk track. And the vocals are incredibly bland here. The vocals are pretty bland and monotone throughout the entire album, and throughout the entire album, the instrumentals feel like a really basic approach on post-punk, even though there are plenty of highlights on the album as well. So yeah, whenever the vocals kind of stretch on for a long time, they begin to sound awkward. They begin to sound stagnant, like on Sha Sha Sha, when the singer goes Sha Sha Sha. It's just, it feels bland. The next track, Too Real, almost suffers from the same problem. The vocals are pretty bland and forgettable, but the guitars are solid, they're brooding, and these ascending splashes of guitars are pretty fantastic. The next track, TV Screens, television screens. I wrote TV screens because I'm lazy. Yeah, it's a singing track. It's not much of a post-punk track. And again, the damn vocals, they just keep ruining the songs. And on this song, on every last syllable, on every line, it's dragged on. So it's on the television screens. The next track is Hurricane Laughter, which has some really solid instrumentals and some really amazing, doodly, sharp, shrill guitars, which are amazing. And the vocals, they're not a problem in this song because they're mostly fast talking, fast rhyming, so it doesn't get awkward. So yeah, Hurricane Laughter is one of the better tracks on the album. Up next, we have Roy's Tune, which is one of the worst tracks on the album. because it is this really uneventful and awkward ballad. Pretty much the same on the next track of the Lots. The song is a really basic, average, generic post-punk song with a really quiet intro for some reason, but then later on, it just feels really tired and exhausted. The next track is Checkless Reckless, and it has this repetitive guitar riff that really isn't all that original or memorable or catchy or anything. It just feels kind of one-dimensional, kind of one note. Uh, one note guitar riff. The next track, Liberty Belle, maybe my least favorite. It tries to sound raw and organic. It just ends up sounding awkward because of the damn vocals. It just sounds incredibly basic as well, and the chord progression. I've probably heard this chord progression like a million times before. It's basically Jason Mraz's that song, but with the last note not being the resolution, but instead a bridge to the next four, where the seventh and the eighth notes are the resolution. So it's an 8/8 song, 8/8 time signature. So it's basically an expanded Jason Mraz chord progression. And maybe Jason Mraz ripped it off from someone else. I don't know, but man. You can immediately tell if a song's chord progression is this basic. However, the next track, Boys in the Better Land, is a really fun banger, sunny instrumentals, and the song overall is incredibly catchy and sticky and memorable. If you're a rock star, porn star, superstar, it doesn't matter who you are. Get yourself a car and get out of here. I think that's how it goes. Anyway, the last track is Dublin City Sky, and it's a ballad. However, it actually sounds pretty amazing because it has this nice folky vibe to it. And it also has this really pretty and sad vibe to it, which I like. And the vocals, they're not dragging too long. They're not that awkward on this track as well. So yeah, overall, the album has its flaws, but still a few highlights. I'm giving this one a strong 6 out of 10, maybe a 7, maybe a 6, maybe a 7, maybe a 7. Light 7. Light 7. I'm being generous. Favorite song here is Big. Least favorite, Liberty Belle. Okay, for the fifth project that I'm going to be talking about, it's Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus with She Is Coming EP. So yeah, Miley Cyrus. I mean, what do you expect from her anyway? Yeah, so she decided to drop like EPs, like she wants to drop 3 EPs this year or something. And this is the first one, and it's titled She Is Coming. And to be honest, I actually really like the first track on the album, on the EP. It's called Mother's Daughter, and it's a really catchy and bright dance pop track with a really catchy beat, some icy synths, and some and a really sharp and catchy and sticky chorus. And the song is essentially an anthem about freedom. And while the song is not like great or anything, I still enjoy quite a bit. However, the rest of the EP just sucks ass. We have the track Unholy, which is a pseudo dark, faux edgy, fake deep pop song, where we get this stupid chirpy beat for some reason, and the lyrics. Miley Cyrus is trying to paint herself as this unholy girl, like, yeah, I do drugs, I have sex, I'm a bad girl, but no one cares because everybody's high. And it's just stupid. It sounds stupid. Then we have Dream, DREAM. Drugs rule everything around me. Really? This face, it's gonna be the thumbnail. Cash Rules Everything Around Me is a Wu-Tang Clan song. I love it. It's amazing. And then we have Drugs Rule Everything Around Me by Miley Cyrus. And it features Ghostface Killah. And it sounds nothing like a Wu-Tang Clan song. In fact, it's not even like a rap song. And not even remotely pop. And not even remotely R&B. It's just a big pulp of nothing. It's this really irrelevant, stupid, reverby bore fest of a track, and at the end, at the last 24 seconds of the song, Ghostface Killah pops up out of nowhere and raps like 4 lines and then hops off with this really jarring and unnatural beat change. So I don't know what Miley Cyrus is thinking about releasing this track, but okay, because the next track is one of the worst songs I've heard all year. It's Catitude featuring RuPaul, and it's a cringe fest. It's the cringiest rap song I've heard all year, and might be one of the cringiest rap songs I've ever heard in this decade, and maybe of all times. Who knows? But yeah, oh my gosh. The only redeeming quality about this track is the weird marching hip-hop beat. Yeah, Miley Cyrus is attempting to rap on this track, and she can't rap. I mean everyone can rap, but she can't rap well. Turn up your gratitude, turn down your attitude. I love my pussy, that means I got catitude. It's just so absolutely obnoxious. And then we have the which is just absolutely dumb. But it's RuPaul's verses, which take the cake for being the grossest. Oh my gosh. I feel like I need to drink some water after I say this, after I recite RuPaul's verse. Ride, shine, clock, set, pussy time. Bust my pussy nut while I'm fingering your butt. Do I suck dick? You ain't seen shit. Throw a C note, watch you slide down my throat. I need to drink some water now. I really do. And then we have the track Party Up the Street, which is just a fantastic, just, it's so boring and so uneventful. I'm actually impressed. A bunch of people are featured here. Sway Lee is featured. And Sway Lee and Miley Cyrus, they have zero chemistry. The song has zero build-up. It doesn't have a climax. It doesn't have a chorus. It doesn't have anything. It's just, it's quite literally nothing. Like, when I'm telling you this right now, maybe, and you haven't heard the song, maybe you're like, no way, it's gonna be nothing. But when you listen to the song, you're like, wow, it's really nothing. Yeah, and then the EP just ends off with The Most, which has some nice vocals, but this is essentially an incredibly washed out, boring country song, and the instrumentals are so lifeless, they're so dead, and overall this EP sucks. I'm feeling a 1 to a 2 out of 10. Yeah, and also I would like to talk about 2 other projects that I will not give a score to because they are not really albums or EPs or anything, and they don't sound like anything I've ever heard of, including Death Grips, my favorite band of the decade. They have dropped Gmail and the Restraining Orders, which is this 28-minute long sonic explosion. Yeah, take the blah 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 part of Hothead and all the noisy, flashy, crazy, epileptic, sonic epileptic moments on the Steroids EP and all mash them up, blend them up, and then expand it into 28 minutes. You have this project. It's not, there are no songs here. There's just one track, and the entire EP is the whole track, and it's basically all the noises being blended, mixed, mashed, chopped up, and it's super noisy, super abrasive, super industrial, and it sounds like listening to Death Grips for the first time again. However, it's just not 28 minutes of pure noise. Like, there's a progression to sound palette from one point to another point. However, there is no point to try to, separate parts and sections of this EP into tracks, because it's like going through a wormhole for 28 minutes, while everything you've seen and everything you've heard in your life just flashes before your eyes in a really high speed. Amazing production. They produced this thing, which is like crazy. What a bunch of mad lads. And Zach Hill's drumming throughout the entire EP has always been incredibly solid, incredibly thrilling. MC Ride's chopped up vocals are all throughout the thing, and Andy Moran's sound engineering, of course, is very skillful. So yeah, overall, I don't know what to say to this EP. I'm not going to give a score or anything. Also, in the meantime, I'm going to talk about the new Blarf album, Cease and Desist. Blarf is, I know you may not believe it, but it's actually Eric Andre. Investigate 311 of the Bird Up show, worst show on television. So Eric Andre, under the name Blarf, came out with this 20-something minute long album, Investigate 311, and it's similar to Gmail and the Restraining Orders, a total shit show, but in a good way, in a pleasant way, but not pleasant in a pleasant way, pleasant in an unpleasant way. It's sample-based music, meaning that it's a bunch of samples of other songs and other beats and maybe movies, TV shows, video games, all mixed and mashed and chopped up into one Investigate 311 mess that's actually incredibly entertaining and fun. And Eric Andre actually had recorded some vocals on this album as well, which is incredibly hyperactive, loud, and funny and crazy. Investigate 311! And Eric Andre, Blarf, even saw fit to slip in a 12-minute long ambient drone track called I Worship Satan. Investigate 311! For the funsies. Yeah. Again, I don't know how to give a score to this, because I don't know, because it's not really music, it's music, but not the kind that you would consider putting into your year-end list. So I guess I'm just gonna give it a Bird Up out of 10. Bird Up, worst show on television. Investigate 311. So what are your thoughts on these albums? From 1 to 10, how much do you rate them? Like if you like them, hate if you hate them, and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching.